just sitting here thinking, hi again, brother teacher. Um, just pondering when I was a child coming up, um, showing appreciation for the small things. I remember when my mother um, didn't have very much, uh, had two boys, my brother and I. God rest his soul now. He's long since been passed away, John. And I remember Christmas in those days that we celebrated Christmas. Mom didn't have very much, but we had a pretty strong family unit outside of our immediate circle, and my aunts and uncles at the time, and most of them have passed away even today. So, but during those days, my mother would do all that she possibly could, to make sure that my brother and I, not having our biological father at home with us, but she would do all that she possibly could to make us feel not left out, to make us feel loved, and to try to not compensate for, but to try to make us have some of the things, some of the amenities that other children who were more fortunate than us had. She would try to do her best. I never will forget um, when my brother and I got our first bicycle for Christmas. Um, I was just blown away. But outside of the bicycle, what I appreciated the most was the fact that my mother gave us essential things. Uh, my brother's taste was a little bit more extravagant than mine, but I was really just a basic type child where if my mother gave me a shirt for Christmas, if it was the winter time, which it was, and some socks and some underwear, and she did that for my brother and I both, uh, I appreciated that. I appreciated my mother putting forth the effort, considering our situation, and we were poor. Uh, and I never will forget, my mother having a pair of house shoes that were basically falling apart. And she also had a house coat that was really tattered and frayed all around the edges and so forth. And had it for many, many years. I mean, many, many years. And instead of my mother buying her something brand new, she would uh, buy my brother and myself something first. She always thought about us first. And it was nothing to come home from school, to walk into our bedroom and to find a toy laying on our bed. And that is how she usually presented those things to us. She would lay it on our bed, and when we got home, it would be there. Or we would find a new pair of corduroys, or a new fleece shirt, or some dress pants, or a new pair of shoes. Or she would take us out and buy us a brand new outfit for school. And those outfits were really few and far between. And because we had limited income at that time, uh, I still appreciated it. You know, we would not always have the most popular shoes. Around the time that we were coming up, Converse All Stars was the most popular shoe. And we would be probably two or three steps down below in the gym shoe department, and we would have something from the store that at the time it was called Twin Fair, or Zayres. We would have a pair of shoes from that store, and oftentimes my brother would criticize the shoes, not understanding what I understood in my heart, that Mama was doing all that she could, but he didn't quite get it until some later years. But I understood it at a very young age, struggling, and I saw my mother struggle, and I think my compassion for humanity stems from my mother's struggles when we were growing up. I remember living in an apartment. This is going way, way back when we first got to Cincinnati, Ohio, I saw a rat run across the floor in my bedroom. Um, told my mother. I was afraid to get up and go to the bathroom, but I told my mother there was a rat. And of course, she did the appropriate thing and she contacted the property manager and they came out to take care of it and so forth. But I remember that. Uh, our home was not rat infested, just FYI. Uh, but we had our share of roaches in a couple of places that we had lived in, and we did our best to fumigate and to treat the roaches within our own dwelling and so forth. So I experienced those days, and I experienced those days of mayonnaise sandwiches when we didn't have meat, ketchup sandwiches when we didn't have meat, and I remember we could not turn the stove on when my mother was gone. But those days we had a stove that had a pilot light. I would cook bacon on the surface of the stove that was hot, and it was hot enough. If you left the bacon on there long enough, or the bologna on there long enough, it would eventually cook the bacon or the bologna. You just turned it over without turning the stove on. I remember those days. I remember those days when my mother used to give my brother and I a note to go to the corner grocery store, the private business, as it were, the mom and pop store. She had developed a credit with him where we could go pick up groceries on credit when we were running short on groceries. I remember those days. And then when she got paid at the beginning of the month, she would send us up there with the money to pay the man, for the groceries that we had gotten the previous month. I remember those days as if they were yesterday. And those days rest in my heart. And I am still that compassionate person towards humanity because I know what it's like to grow up with nothing. And that is why I am as passionate as I am about people and helping those who are not able to help themselves. And I share that help not only in my martial arts profession, teaching my students, but I pass along all of the information that I possibly can to anyone just to lift someone's spirits and just to give you something of value every time or every opportunity that I have to do that. I want you to sincerely know something today. Those that are watching this video, as short as it may be, I hope you got the gist of what I'm saying to you. And it's simply this: cherish the moment, cherish the day, and love yourself first. Then you can find a way to love others. If you love yourself first, then you have no other alternative but to love your brother and your sister, irrespective of color, race, or creed. This is Brother Teacher. And as always, I want you to know that it is not fabricated, it's not made up, it's not conjecture. I do sincerely love you, and so does Yahweh. Be blessed and have a great day. So long.